Greetings and welcome to another episode of the Hourlings podcast project. Happy New Year. Today is January 1st, 2022. I can't believe it. I don't know what happened. It seemed like 2021 was crawling along painfully slow, and then bam, it was over. So this episode, we're going to be talking about goals. Specifically, the goals that we stated we wanted to complete this year. When we were doing this podcast last year, we had an episode that I'll link in the comments that has our goals that we stated we wanted to get done, and we'll talk about what we actually accomplished. And then finally, last of all, we'll talk about the goals that we want to do next year. So.
But Marty, I will say one thing. For you, maybe this year seemed slow, but for me, getting slapped in the face every 2 months or so, it went crazy fast.
Well, hey, that's good at least. I mean, if you're having a bad year, going fast is an advantage.
I know. Thank goodness. So, it's almost over. Well, it is over by this time.
When you're walking through hell, walk faster.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So the goals from last year. I guess I'll go first. The episode where we talked about goals a year ago today, I said that I was going to write and publish 2 novels, 4 short stories, an audio edition, and I was gonna lose 30 pounds. Those were my goals. So we'll start with the weight. I actually lost the 30 pounds, but gained almost 20 back in the last month or so. So I'm hoping in January I can burn all that stuff off because, my wife is a really good cook at holiday times. So I'm going to forgive myself that because I really enjoyed myself. So books. I came very close to meeting my goal of publishing 2 books. I actually got one published in the summer, and I am so very close to pressing publish on The Law of Lumina, my novel that I thought that I was going to get published the 1st of December. I would just rather have it right than right now. So I got a lot of really good beta reader feedback for that novel, and I've been rolling those modifications in, and I'll probably have that done by Friday this week, and then get it back to the editor for a quick review, and then a few days of formatting, and it'll be ready to rock. So I just barely missed that goal. The interesting thing is I actually wrote 3 novels this year, which I did not expect to do, and so it's kind of a head start on next year for it. And I actually wrote more short stories than the 4 that I wanted to write. I wrote 6 or 8, depending on the state that the short stories count. 4 of them are published state, although one's in an anthology that hasn't been published yet. And that's it. I did pretty good. I mean, I am not disappointed in my own self. I actually this year spent a lot of time learning how to be more serious about the craft of writing and how to write faster and make my first drafts better. So we'll see how that impacts my my goals for next year.
I think, Marty, you had a really good, you had an ambitious set of goals that were maybe a little bit too aggressive, but not so much that you didn't, come 80%, 85% of the way there, which I think is a great ratio to be at, to set the bar high. And if you fall a little short of it, that's okay, because you still accomplished a hell of a lot. And so that's pretty cool. So
yeah, I feel pretty good about it. I feel like a slacker compared to some authors I know. But I have had a nice year. I got to travel again this year. That was really nice. My wife and I started road trips. I actually had a book signing this year that went very well that I did not expect to be able to get in this year. So a lot of good stuff's happened. Also, I published 2 audio editions this year, 2 audiobooks, and my audiobooks are selling big. That's been a great thing for me this year, and I'm ready to rock for next year. I am very excited, very optimistic about stuff for next year.
I also think we have to give you a pass on the one short story since you submitted it to my anthology. Your work
No,
is
that's fine. For me,
anthology yet.
yeah, it's for me, the finished part was delivering it and having all of the, the mods completed, and that's now out of my control. So that's fine. I did count that.
Okay.
And who goes next?
Come
I have,
on.
I have dogs barking, so someone else
Go
go.
with Dave.
Okay. So I had a number of goals. I wanted to publish 2 novels last year, 2 novelettes, 2 anthologies. I was editor of both of the anthologies. I wanted to get a new dog because my family typically has 3 dogs and one of them had died at the end of 2020. And I tossed in doing some exercise and working on those 6-pack abs. So like Marty, I'll start with the physical. 6-pack abs, exercising during the pandemic. Yeah, right. Okay, we'll forget that one. That was a clear miss. Okay. The dog, that was a resounding success. It took me about 8 to work on the wife, but we've had a new dog now for about 7.5 weeks. He is currently 17 weeks old and weighs in at about 40 pounds. He's a coonhound. We think maybe like a coonhound shepherd mix, something like that. He's sweet and lovable and as timid as can be because he had a rough life before he was found by the Rescue League. But he's doing well. So resounding success. Now, to the writing, I got 1 novel published right before the end of the year, slipped it in under the wire. So that's 1 out of 2 of the novels. I got 1 novelette published, again, the day after the Christmas, so right in under the wire, but I did not get a second one published. And the anthology, the first anthology I worked on slipped into this year, and the second anthology, because of the delays on the first one, we started it later in the year, so the normal schedule for that anthology takes it into 2022 anyway. So I got 0 anthologies published this year. That's the Forever In and the Fantastic Detectives. So basically I completed, of the 6 writing related things I wanted to deliver, I delivered 2. By my count, that is a 33% record on my goals. Which means I'm not quite as happy as Marty. However,
We were originally going to call this episode of excuses. Remember, David? So now it's time. Go ahead. Give us the excuses then.
We don't
Not
need to
enough.
do excuses
too much.
because we can do whatever the hell we want.
That's-
Yeah.
We are
If you want to
free.
give them, you don't give them. I'm going to give them.
End of the day, too much work, too much work on my day job, too little Dave to go around on all the projects I was working on. I have only myself to blame, and we're not talking about the goals for next year yet. So
I'm just kidding, buddy. I'm just kidding. I got plenty of missed ones too, so I'll go next. My clear miss was the we all know it. We all know what I'm going to say. My clear miss was the getting up early. I said I was going to start getting up early and 7 a.m., 8 a.m. and start the day off fresh. Well, if you can call us still being awake at 4 o'clock early, well, that's one way to look at it.
early somewhere.
Somewhere. So I did
You had
not
less chance of
accomplish
making that than I did with my 6-pack abs. I just want you to know that.
Well, I mean, I will say that I'm in Facebook chat groups that are like, oh, this guy's in, UK, this guy's in Australia, this guy's in South Africa. And it's like, well, they'll just post anytime, day or night. It's like,
That's
whatever.
right. So my
Maybe
writing
it's somewhere.
goals were to finish my thesis, which was close to 80 pages for my college. Also to finish my YA novel, which I was working on. To self-publish a fantasy novel, and to finish the hockey nonfiction book that I was working on. So let's see how I did there. I wrote my thesis and I passed with distinction. So yay, cum laude from UVA. I did finish my YA novel, so I put a check mark next to that. Now there was some debate when the cameras were not rolling for our podcast of these gentlemen here who are very pro self-publishing, that to them finish would have to include publication, but to a hybrid author like myself who is interested in traditionally publishing, as I am with this novel, to me finishing the manuscript is a big old fat finish, because then it goes to the agent and the publisher, kind of like you were saying, Marty, with submitting your short story to the anthology, even though it's not published yet. I feel like we're kind of in the same boat there with that project.
Well,
So,
the difference there, however, his story has been accepted, and it will be published. It's just going to be published when the anthology comes out. It's not a question of whether it will or will not be accepted.
all right, I'm not here to debate you, David. I'm here to talk about my goals. Sit down. You can have a seat now. So the next thing, the hockey book, I did not finish, but I am getting good progress on that, and it's sold, which is awesome. So I don't know. I'm going to do that like as a 50%, because I got a publisher for it, which is great. And then what was the last one I said? The self-publishing of the fantasy novel. That one had to be pushed because the hockey book was sold, and I just completely paused it and turned all my attention onto the nonfiction work. So sadly, that one was a miss, but it will progress next year. So I'm feeling in the 70% percentile, whatever, on my goals. And I'm okay with that, because I got a lot of other personal cool stuff, done this year. I graduated college, and just I feel like I've been on a decent path. So I'm all right with that. Hit and miss, but I'm all right.
We'll give you some cred.
Yeah, legit. You did well.
Now, why don't you tell me to have a seat?
Yeah.
Get it? They don't get it. All right, Jeffrey. I think the spotlight is on you.
Yeah. So, what a year. But I mean, I knew going in on January 1st of 2021, there was a big life change that I knew was coming up, and now I am facing it and dealing with it. That I knew way back then that this would be a terrible year to make a lot of goals. So I kept it simple. I said something I think about blogging. Well, that was a fail. I hate blogging. I just loathe the concept of it. But I did start a new blog, an author's blog. So I guess that's not a total fail, even if I'm not posting as often as I said I would. But the novel is the big kahuna of this thing. And I started it late because Mom died. And then I made some progress until around July when my aunt died. And then I made some more progress, and then I got into a car crash and totaled my car, and I'm no longer able to get free fuel for the car anymore. And all of those things. And then, of course, this life change started. So overall, it has not been a good year. In fact, I will say that 2020 was not that bad a year for me, but 2021 was way worse than any year that I've ever known. So the fact that I've got 67,000 words in this novel, even though it's not finished, I'm still okay with. The fact is that I know what the chapter title or provisional chapter title is for the last 9 chapters of the novel is actually a good sign, because I know exactly where I'm going with it. And the fact is that that the main thing that's stopping me right now is just figuring out this really complex chapter that explains all the complicated time travel of the novel. That is a linchpin chapter of the novel. I want to make sure it's right and doesn't contradict itself. And then the rest is just by rote stuff that I can get out. So I'm not too worried about finishing it early in the next year.
So now we're going to talk about our goals for this coming year. Jeffrey, why don't you start while you're talking about the novel that you have been working on? Sounds
And so
like
my-
that's going to be the first tick on your next goals for this year.
Right, and by definition of finished, getting it out and published. There's still a number of steps that has to come through. I mean, just briefly, obviously got to finish the draft, as I've just implied. Then I got to revise Grammarly and pro writing aid and yada, 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 and then get it to the beta readers. And I've got 2 beta readers lined up at least. So I've already made progress on that. I've got pieces of the cover. This is one piece in the cover. I've showed you another podcast what the sphere looks like, and a map of Montreal where the book takes place, Montreal, Quebec, Canada. So all of that, it is all coming together, and I'm hoping early in the next year. I did want to do it sometime around November, but dude, if it's going to be earlier than that, it'll be earlier than that. I mean, I will set a lead time. I will pre-release the publication date and lead up to it, and that is part of my
That's
goal.
risky. All right.
No, well, that'll be more or less when I've got my feedback from the beta readers.
So number
I'll
one
leave
for
my-
you is,
Sorry?
just to recap, you're saying number one is to finish the novel
Yeah, to finish the novel as in published.
as in published. Okay.
Another
Which is-
novel.
yeah.
Sorry.
Published. I heard published.
Yeah, published as in finished. Published as in finished. I want to do a second one. I already know what that story's going to be. It's in the same universe. It's just a follow on. I'm not 100% sure I can get it finished in time, but hey, we got to set goals. As far as the blog is concerned, I'm going to set my goals really, really low because I hate blogging. If you get a post a month from me, be happy. And that's all I'm promising you.
So
And
the next novel you're going to write is the goal, the first draft done by
Oh,
the
no,
end
that's
of next year?
finished. That is finished by the end of the year.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
published.
So
So you
published
want-
by the end of the year.
So
Yes.
he wants to publish 2 novels, but one that has not even been started yet by the end of the year. That's going
That
to be
is my
tough, but
goal.
I am hearing you. I'm hearing and
Yeah.
seeing you.
I mean, I think I can. As far as blogging is
Person
concerned,
favorites
though,
bold.
yeah, well, I do have 2 blogs now. One that is specifically for me, the author, and another which is more of a personal blog that may sometimes share content between the 2. But that author blog is now online, so you guys can follow me on my blog and see what I'm up to at least once a month.
Hey, Shay, what's your goals for next year?
All right. So writing goals, I want to submit my hockey book finished to the publisher, which I'll have plenty of incentive to do because the deadline is in February. So I'm not too worried about meeting that deadline. That's one thing that has to happen. There's always a better chance with me when you remove the agency of slothfulness or Netflix. So that will happen. I'm excited about that. Then I want to carry over my goal of self-publishing the fantasy novel. So I'd like to do that this year. I'm working with the artist, and there will be illustrations in the book. So the only challenge I could foresee with that being is the artist schedule. I'd have to make sure that that she can also meet the deadline that I'm hoping. So that's on the table. Then I'm kind of debating how aggressive I want to be with my my next goals as far as writing. There are 2 things in my pipeline. I'd like to revise a manuscript that my agent has particularly said she's interested in. So she said, "Hey, I told her about what I have in the drawer, if you will, and she likes the concept of this one manuscript. And she said, well, if you can polish it up and make a couple changes to fit the market a little better, I think I can work with it." So I haven't done that yet, and I would really like to get back to fiction with through my agent. And so that I'm thinking about making that my 3rd goal, is to revise that novel and get it ready for her to accept and market out to publishers. I'm not going to carry over my getting up early goal because it didn't work, and I don't want to just continue being in a cycle of failure. Well, maybe this is a growing process, and as I grow older, 10 years from now, it just becomes more of a natural thing for my body. But for now, it's clearly not, and it's just not working. So I'm going to change my personal goal there's something that is related, but different. And I would like to reduce my screen time. So especially at night, I want to look at my phone less and go more to music or to reading, other activities that are more relaxing instead of using my phone so much. So let's try that one on for size and see if it sticks. I guess I'll update you next year. But so those are my goals. In recap, submit the book that already has a publisher, self-publish the fantasy book, and revise a manuscript for my publisher. So those are my 3 writing goals.
David.
All right. So there's things I didn't get done this year that I wanted to. Those slide into the next year. But a substantial amount of work has been done on some of them. So for example, I want to publish 2 anthologies in 2022. Both of them are substantially in progress. I want to publish I have to look at my list. I want to publish 1 novel. I have a complete version of the novel already written. My goal, however, is to expand it a little bit from where it was first published. So I plan to expand that novel and publish it next year. So 1 novel, 2 anthologies, and I'm like tripling down on the novelettes. I expect to publish 6 novelettes next year, and I have a schedule behind me for when I expect these things to be published. A bunch of the work has already been done on all of the stories, so they're all pretty close to publication ready. I also have covers for a bunch of those things. So I literally think that in the next year, I can publish 6 novelettes for sure. And then finally, I want my stories to appear in 3 anthologies next year. And I think that's very doable as well. So to sum up, 1 novel, 6 novelettes, 2 anthologies as editor, and 3 anthologies as a contributor. We're not going to try for another dog in 2022. I'm already selected 3. My wife would probably kill me if I came home with a 4th. And yeah, the 6-pack abs thing didn't work so well. I will state as a more loose goal, don't hold me to it. But yeah, I could lose some of this COVID-19 pandemic weight. So that is one of the things I'll be working on. That's it for me.
Okay, for me, we'll start with the novel front. I actually plan on publishing 3 novels next year. That's not so hard a goal because I've already got 3 novels written, but maybe I should call it 4 because Law of Lumina, which is largely done, is going to be published in early January, and I don't know if I should count that in my next year's goals. So
come on, it's an easy win. It's an easy win.
Easy win. Okay, so then it'll be 4 novels next year, which would be awesome. In addition to that, I have found it very useful last year. I have already planning 2 writers' retreats for this coming year. That's going to happen. By the end of the year, in addition to the books that I have published, I'm hoping by the end of the year, I'll have 2 more novels in first draft state or a little farther. That'll be awesome too. Add a bunch of short stories in there. I don't know how many. I usually get in at least 4 in every given year. So that'll be good. On a personal level, I gotta, get my weight down. I still want to do that. Everybody has that as their New Year's resolution. I just need to do it just for health. I turned 62 this year. I want to turn 92 and still be doing this podcast. So I'm getting that in now. So should be a good year. I am looking forward to it. I got to figure out how to self-edit faster next year. Did I already say I wanted to do 4 book signings at least next year too? I want to do
book signings yet, but okay.
I want to hit book signings again. The world's getting safer. One can only hope. And I had such good success with the one I did last fall that I think that's very doable for this year. So that's it for me. I also want to keep this podcast going for another year. I want to be back here first the next year talking about these goals that we managed.
Yes, we
Or
will.
missed.
Yeah, I will say I didn't list that as a goal because I somehow or other this podcast has become one of those foundational things for me that I just assume that we're all doing it. We're having fun. We're learning stuff from each other.
Yep.
I have trouble imagining not doing it.
Yeah. And I mean, my goal has been to make every episode, at least since I only missed 2, I think, or 3. So I'm trying to make them all.
Yeah, I've missed a couple as well. I can't remember which ones it was that I missed. And
Well, I remember the second episode, I got kicked out because that was the 7th wheel.
yeah. Oh, and that reminds me, Stephanie, who was here January 1st last year, she had a really big year too. She actually had a very ambitious goal of writing 7 novels, which she managed. She actually did that. Go ahead and look at her Amazon author page. Her books are doing really well. She is amazing because she has 2 small children, and
Yes.
she is just awesome. She and her
She's writing,
husband
and she's
actually
Family
moved.
overachiever.
doing it
She and her
all.
husband actually moved their family out of Northern Virginia to North Carolina, I think. And that even took a big bite out of her writing time, but she still managed to crank out
Yes.
7 books. She's an inspiration, and I'm hoping to, find that pace as well. So that'd be great. What else we got? Any other group goals here?
Well, I do want to mention one more thing. At the end of 2021, I had 7 for-pay products on sale on Amazon. At the end of 2022, I'm going to have 14.
Nice.
So, but all that work, that's 2017 to 2021, and I had 7 works that actually pay me money. It's going to double in the next single year.
Bravo.
So that's, like I said, I'm trying to really cross the boundary there.
I will say that there's one manuscript that I do want to add a couple of chapters to, but once I do find the time to add those couple of chapters, I mean, that's going to be a bigger piece of mine, the Twilight Wanderer, that I may indeed publish as a novelette or something like that. But I'm not making that as a goal because I don't know when I'm going to get a chance. I'm just working on another novel. It's going to be my big rubric right now.
I don't have any other books that oh, go ahead.
Hmm?
Wait, I was gonna say, I don't have any other books that I forgot that I said I want to publish, but I did just buy a new banjo.
Nice.
I would like to learn how to play a little bit on that by the time we meet here next year.
Well, I mean, I would have said that I would have wanted to have a new apartment and some public storage by the end of the year. And I will consider myself having the public storage by the end of last year. And I did get the public storage by the end of the year and have an apartment approval. So I will be moving early next year.
Shay, I just want to ask you, have you seen the movie Deliverance?
Deliverance, no.
Deliverance. Oh, you need to see that.
Oh yeah, it's a laugh riot.
If you're going to learn the banjo, you have to see that movie first.
Oh my goodness.
Is it set in like the
No,
swamps or the?
it's a very good movie. It's probably
It is an
Ned
excellent movie that
It's
you
Ned
probably
Beatty.
only want to ever see once.
Once,
Yes,
okay.
I think only once.
Burt Reynolds was in it before he was famous. It's Ned Beatty's probably finest movie. It is a classic. It may not be the comedy that you expect, but it's got the most memorable banjo scene in any movie of all time. So if you're going to learn the banjo, you got to watch that.
Start
film.
there, right? Start there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also,
All right.
I forgot my goals. I'll probably actually produce 2 more audiobooks next year too.
Oh yeah. Well, when I'm talking finished, part of that finished is going to be audiobooks.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, that's one of the things that our writers group is really excellent at, helping people, hack their way through the jungle for the first time. And that includes, Kindle formatting, paperback, hardcover, as well as audio editions.
Right. Now, I will say, I don't remember if I mentioned how many books I would read, I did, though, normally give myself a goal of 20 books a year to read, and I did read about 20 books last year. And I do believe I will be reading 20 more books next year, but not the type of books that these guys have.
I highly recommend that you read the kind of books that you like to write.
Yep.
Yeah, I read a metric ton of time travel books last year.
Actually,
I think I read 81 books last year.
Wow.
I wanted to read 100, so I missed that by a mile.
Mm.
But read. It's, you know, if
Reading
you
is good.
want to be a writer, you just got to read.
Yeah, I think you have to read. You have to at least read the type of things that you want to write. But I also think that there's some benefit to reading more widely,
Yes.
because you start pulling in ideas and stuff from other areas, and you'd be surprised
Oh, yeah.
what can be slammed into a science fiction or a fantasy novel
All
from
these science,
history or military history or mystery in general or whatever.
I mean, the Twin Dilemma, that came out of reading a science book. Some of
Well,
my
it's
best ideas
interesting.
come
This
out of that.
year, I have all of these, you know, classic books in my library that we had as children and stuff. I had the entire Hardy Boys collection.
Yeah.
So I started reading random Hardy Boys, and I'm going, oh my God, this plot would be awesome
Right.
On a
for a
spaceship.
Oh,
sci-fi novel.
You
So
know,
next
maybe an
thing you
interesting,
know, I wrote the 2 Daves.
an interesting
and,
goal is to read 50 Hardy Boys by next year.
Yeah, I
Something
think it
like
would
that.
get a little bit too old because they are very naive, and I love that.
Oh, I know. I
And-
know.
I really love that. Yeah.
I mean, I used to like Egg Rice Burroughs when I was a kid.
Right.
Age 12 is the perfect age for Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Yeah.
But then after a while, you get a little bit older and you realize, hey, it's the same plot every single book.
Yeah, the weird thing about those books, I completely forgot how short they were. You know, I'll grab one of those books out of the library and I'll go up to my hammock and I'm finished reading the book in 2 hours because they're only like 115 pages.
Right. Right.
I
Or
can
the
tell you why.
Bradbury Martian Chronicles.
I can tell you why. When you write on a typewriter instead of the damn word processor, man, every single page hurts.
He
Yes,
didn't have Scrivener.
that's good. All right, so we got anything else for next year? Happy
Well,
New
hey,
Year,
one other goal.
everybody. Happy New
goal.
Year.
Now, one goal is to remember to say another finely structured podcast.
Happy
No.
New Year, everyone.
Happy
And
New Year,
Happy
y'all.
New Year, guys. Thanks for doing the podcast. Still loving it. Love you guys.
Absolute.